Every year.
All right, we are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Some issues brought up, but I wanted to get the callers that waited through the break. We'll go to Daryl. Daryl, good morning. Hi, Daryl.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for taking my call.
Good morning.
Sure.
Hey, Sheriff, I was a law enforcement officer for 22 years, and I did not have the privilege to select which laws I was required to enforce. How can you select which inmates to keep when, frankly, that's what the people have put you in the office for, to keep that jail?
Hey, Daryl, hang on 1 second. Were you a local law enforcement or a federal official?
Local.
Okay, me too. So why do you expect me to contract, listen to what I'm saying, contract with the federal government to house their people? What county do you live in?
I'd rather not say right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Here's what I would challenge you. Find why your county doesn't house them, because if you want a contract, we can send them to your county. It's not about enforcing the law. It's a contract to house people.
Well, Daron, I was in the Army for 21 years before that, and we have to obey laws and orders. How can these people, I do agree with you, a lot of laws need to change, but until they do, these people are federal criminals, and your job, sir, is to assist and house throughout their entire process.
No, that's not true. Your county doesn't house people for the federal government. It is a contract that we chose to get into 26 years ago. There's no law enforcement about housing people for someone. The law enforcement is ICE's responsibility to enforce laws on the books. I cooperate with ICE. When ICE sends me a warrant detainer, I turn them over to ICE. But your county and any other county in this state and most places in this country have a choice to whether they want to house people in their jail that your local taxpayers' dollars have used to spend. So why are you asking me to do something for the government? It has nothing to do with enforcing the law. It is a contract decision, and you're making it as if though I'm enforcing law. That's a contract. That has nothing to do with enforcing the law at all.
Well, sir, that's true. However, your job is to hold people until they have their complete due process. If a local judge wanted you to hold someone in your jail and you refused, he would probably hold you in contempt.
Do you know why? You said a key word. And local judges ask me to do something, enforce local law. That person has a warrant or a conviction locally. I am required constitutionally to hold them. The federal government enforces immigration laws, and if the federal government wants those people held, it is their job to find and contract with whoever they want. But for you to assume that Nashville is required to hold people for the federal government, that is ludicrous. That's not true at all. And so you're asking a local judge, you're comparing a local judge to the federal government. We have a choice to house people under a contract or not. Why in the world would you expect your local tax dollars to fund the federal government's responsibility when it comes to housing people for immigration? That's just wrong.
And you've said that the bottom line is when ICE does come and pick up these folks after they've served their time in your jail, now the only thing that's changed is they'll have to be there right when their sentence expires. They do take them. They've contracted. I mean, where do these illegals go when they are transferred to ICE? They have facilities, federal facilities, where they hold them until, I don't know, they're deported otherwise.
Right. And Daryl needs to do that. I mean, if you want that to happen, I think that's great. Get the federal government to build their facilities or contract with larger places down south. There's private prisons that do it, however you want to do it. We have a choice in Nashville as to whether we want to use our beds, our money locally to do what is the federal government's responsibility. It has nothing to do with enforcing the law. It's a contract. And whatever county you live in does not contract with ICE. You need to call and get them to do it, and I'll send you the ICE people when they get out of here.
Let's go to Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. Good morning, Tiffany.
Good morning. I just want to say, Sheriff Hall, I think you're a great sheriff. I'm glad that you're our sheriff, and I'm glad that you care about our people and not just the 1%. And don't worry about people calling you a racist, because I know you're not a racist. I think you're a great sheriff, and keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. My mother needed to hear that today, so I appreciate you.
Well, and you've been through it. You've been around a long time, and you know there are going to be things that come at you on a controversial issue like this. People have opinions. I wanted to move on a bit from that quickly, and we can take more calls along those lines if they come in. But this is another big story, and I think we all acknowledge the fact that, you know, things always cost more than you think. And the story came out that the jail is going to be completed here very soon, but $17 million more than, and again, this wasn't on you necessarily, but can you talk about why it's costing that much more and where that money will come from now?
Yeah, so it's another long, complicated story. I'll do my best. This is not the jail. A little confusion over it. The jail has, I have no idea what the jail costs, because if you remember, I was on this show years ago venting about the fact that the mayor at the time wanted to manage the project herself. She got to manage the project herself. Whatever it cost is on them. I couldn't control that. I wanted to control that. That didn't happen. At the same time, simultaneous to the jail, we also needed a headquarters because our functions of administration and training and warrants and call centers and records, we have a whole lot of other functions. About 200 plus employees don't have a home once we finish. They're not moving over here. That's just housing in our behavioral health center. So what made news this week was I went to meet with new Mayor Cooper to let him know that our headquarters building, which is going over on South 5th Street, Shelby and South 5th Street, our old workhouse was there. It's been torn down. We're building a new headquarters on that site. It was reported, let me back up. I went and met with Mayor Cooper, the third mayor I've had this conversation with. The first mayor was Mayor Berry, explained the situation. Now we need a headquarters, the first building in the history of Metro government that the Metro Council had to decide. They passed an ordinance where they get to decide where the headquarters for the sheriff's office goes. Okay. First building in the history of government to do that. They chose the site. We agreed with the site. We took off. Then Mayor Berry funded $20 million as what you would almost call startup money, I guess. I'm not sure what you would call it. I wasn't managing the project. Keep in mind, this is the same situation. We need a headquarters. They want to manage the project. So I think $20 million was the startup money. We have a new mayor, as you well know, at the time. Briley comes in, I go meet with him, tell him what's going on. He says, in some version of this, he'll put more money in, and I'm calling it a capital improvements budget that's coming up whenever that was. Okay, we need a headquarters. We need a headquarters. Just so you know, our headquarters and the police headquarters were on the same schedule 5 years ago. We were supposed to be built at the same time. They've been running for a year. We have dirt. Okay, so I was on him about making sure we continued to make this project work. The contract was awarded, the construction companies are picked, everything is going, they were authorized to get started, to get our building going. I'm glad we need to do that. Now we have a new mayor. I go meet with the third mayor, and I said, look, I want to make sure this building continues. We've been working 5 years, we're behind time. We got people stuck in hospitals right now, an old hospital. We have people stuck in trailer parks on Harding Place. We have people in my building that are going to be in a vacant building here in about 2 months. All over Nashville, they all are supposed to be under this one roof. So Mayor Cooper says, okay, well, where are we with the project? I said, well, it's under construction. And he said, well, what's it going to cost? I said, I have no idea. I have no idea because that's not being managed by me. I can find out, but I don't have control of that. The building is designed as we would want it. We had value engineered it down, worked to it. I'm talking about finding things we could save money.
Is it more though?
Here's the deal. There is no budget.
Okay, so we just don't know. There's no budget.
Right. You can't say over budget. That's inaccurate.
Because there never was one. What was it? Just an open-ended, well, it'll cost what it'll cost?
Well, so, by the way, this is the way every project was being managed. Understand, I wasn't managing it, but it's very consistent with the way the jail was managed. Very consistent with the way the other projects in Nashville were going. And so when this happened, I went to Mayor Cooper and said, look, here's the deal. So he found out, which is right, I think the new price is $37 million. That's the price if you'd have done it right on the front end. It's not.
Instead of the $20 million, it would have been
right,
30.
20 was an arbitrary number.
It was an arbitrary number. So it's really not. That was not accurate. You probably could have said back then it was going to cost more than $20 million.
Sure, there's no doubt about that. But it's an indication of a bad system. There's no doubt. You should have the money before you start the projects. You should understand what you need and all that.
You impressed with Cooper so far?
Yes. He's been good. Helping, I mean, look, he's a finance guy. I'm not a finance guy, but he's pretty direct about what his priorities are. It would be nice because that seemed to be
an issue with at least one, maybe two of the prior mayors and getting this thing in line. And that's what I think a lot of people elected him for. Right. All right, listen, we'll take a break. We'll be back. Our final segment with the mayor right after, I mean, not the mayor. Final segment with the sheriff right after that.